Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilborn, the Active Trend Trader. Welcome to today's session of On the Radar, live market updates. The market over the last 3 days, guys, has been absolutely, I won't say it's insane. What I'll call it is whippy. We are getting, these are the type of markets that really lend themselves to whipsaw type action. What is that? Whipsaw is basically you get into a trade thinking, hey, here we go, it's going to take off, and immediately it reverses and drops back down to the downside or the upside, depending on which direction you're going. So we're getting a lot of that, a little bit of whippy type action that we'll be basically taking a look at as we get into today's session. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get us into today's session. I mean, we'll double check here on the Instagram to make sure that I am in fact broadcasting. And so if you are trading with us, basically just let us know what you're trading. If you have a stock you want us to take a look at, please let us know what that is also. You know what I forgot to do? No, I am live. I am broadcasting. So for whatever reason, it is not showing up on my phone, and that's okay. That's just the way it goes. There we go. Sometimes it's taking a little bit of time just to get inside and jump on things and make sure they're working. So I see that L's with us today. I want to say aloha. And so let's take a look at this S&P. The spiders, after flirting with a breakout level and pushing up towards the 1272 Fibonacci extension, we have basically a sell-off today. A nice sell-off. Price action has worked their way up, back up towards the high for today, and then reversed and fell down. Remember yesterday, the Fed came out and said they are not going to raise rates until 2024. Oftentimes when the Fed makes statements like that or does things like that, you don't really know the full reaction that's going on with the Fed for a couple of days. So yesterday, we basically shot up after the Fed, made all-time new highs. Today, we're getting a sell-off back down to the downside. A lot of different reasons why we're getting, that kind of a sell-off. Who knows? This is oftentimes when I like to take a look at Investor Business Daily, the front page, and just say, hey, what's going on with the market? And I find that gives me the indications that I need to be able to make good decisions. And while I wait for that to come up, matter of fact, there it is. And so basically what it says is Dow Jones is flat as yields soar. So the yield rates went up, Apple falls, leaderboard stocks jump. In other words, things are jumping out of there. So what else can we take a look at? Well, a couple of things I wanted to highlight today as we do look at the indicators and also the price action. Anytime we make a move in the market, we want to be concerned for both price action and also the indicators. But price action leads. You have to remember that. Oftentimes, when we're looking, and one of the things that I find with so many traders is, and even myself, is my timing for market moves can get really messed up if I'm over anticipating the price action movements before we get a momentum reversal. So oftentimes I'll be looking at a stock during the day, and I watch the TSI, and I also watch the market forecast. And it's for simplicity, I'm not showing on this particular chart. And oftentimes midday, I'll show a cross has happened. However, by the end of the day, that cross is no longer there. A crossover between the short time frame and the long time frame momentum, by the end of the day, has stopped. Today, though, as you can see, we do in fact have a cross at the end of the day. And so that's what makes the end of day indicators and price action much more reliable for planning out our trades. If we're looking to do a trade in spider, now what's the other piece that we need to do there? So once you get the momentum shift, identify where do I want again? Where are price actions likely to retrace to? And to be able to provide an opportunity to trade. Like on the SPYs, I would be looking at trading puts to the downside. I would then look over at my intraday charts and see what the heck is going on with intraday. And as you can see on intraday charts, this is a 30-minute chart, the TSI is really close to the lower reversal zone. So even though I have made a new lower low on a short time frame, this is telling me that we could anticipate a bounce back up to where? Well, I can throw on a Fibonacci and take a look at it and say, it looks like that 100% Fibonacci retracement right there is a potential upside target or a reversal from there to fall back down. Flip that over to, and I'll save it for the Qs, or whether or not we want to trade the leverage ETF, and that's the next question we have to answer for ourselves. So S&P, the spiders, somewhere back retesting towards that breakout level, because that breakout level now has reversed its polarity and is a level of resistance. Or a zone of resistance. The NASDAQ, the Qs basically dropped very nicely today. We had, and part of the thing I was looking at yesterday is we had a rebound off the 8 to 20 and back above the moving averages. And the trade today was it gapped down to open, just about to the 8-day moving average, and then continued to fall through the rest of the day, selling off. We have landed where? At a level of new support, or old support, at about the 311 level. This is where I like to do either one of two things also. Since we stuck our head above the trend line, I'll go ahead and reactivate that trend line and move it up. So it corresponds to those two highs right there being our, it worked. Those two highs being our trigger for a potential downside trade. So in other words, we can expect prices to move back up into that area. Now, as we've spoken before, this could very well be just a simple rally up, pull back, and where's it going to stop? Is it going to stop down at this past level of support and then rebound from there, or is it going to go ahead and fall from there? There's a pretty nice little move there. So we'll be keeping our eye on that. How far is that, in fact, from the highs? From the highs down to the lows, looking at about an 8% move. So again, this is reflecting a move from here to here, and so that move, past move on the Qs, was about 12%. So it was in the correction, in the area where you would call it a correction, and now we're basically retesting and falling off. How do I want to trade this tomorrow? Well, any kind of a retrace, again, I would look at the intraday chart, similar to what we did on the S&P. Where does it look like? Here's that gap down. So we would, but again, with the TSI down here towards the lower reversal zone, I'm not going to jump on a short trade or a downside trade here because, one, I'm really close to past support. Look to your left, past support there. And so I'm not going to jump on a short trade there unless I do break out and then retest. So what I'd be looking for is a pull back up into the moving averages or into the past high about the, let's say, where is that? About the 316 to 317 level. That'd be a good place to put in an alert to say, if you get up there, that's where I would want to trade to the downside. Flip that over. And so what do I want to trade to the downside? I can either do puts, I can do a credit spread with the calls to the downside, or I can look over here at the leveraged ETF, the SQQQ. Now flip, again, reversing our concept here on SQQQ, we have a TSI. It is close to basically showing a crossover. So if that's the case, if we were doing something similar, we would want to basically be looking at, if I get a retracement back into about 1383 to the bottom of today's body, which is about 1362, look for a potential reversal and turnaround. Let's doctor this up a little bit by throwing in I like to do this off of the daily chart or the weekly chart. Let's throw in there we go. Right there. So that's right at the 820 combo, and it would not be surprising to see a retracement back into that. If I flip over to the intraday chart, the half-hour chart, again, where is that? It's not showing up. Back? Oh, I know why it's not showing. Not showing up. And whenever you draw something like that, if you have it where it will put, draw it on the next time frame, you have to make sure that you cover the time frame. So let me activate it. Now it should. There we go. Let's go over to again, back to the intraday chart, and there it is. So any kind of a pullback back towards that area, that's the kind of the moving average lines. And so that would be very interesting because like the QQQ and the TQQ, for bullish trades, the SQQ is, the momentum is, elevated to the upside. So we'd anticipate some kind of a pullback, and we just wait for it, wait for the cross. And we can also look at how do you time this thing out? How do you time this? And look towards, I'm looking towards, here's 2 time periods that I'll just lay on you. And you can make the conversion over to your own time frame. But here's my time frames in Hawaii. Somewhere between 4:30 in the morning and 5 o'clock, or 5:30. So what time is that on the market opens at 8:30 on, is it 8:30 on the, no, 6:30 in California. So 6:30 in the morning is when the market opens, and that's 3:30 here in Hawaii time. So about 4:30 Hawaii time would be 7:30 on the West Coast. And then you can make the conversions over from that. But that's where I would be looking at. You can almost set an alarm for yourself if you wanted to, so you're not have to sit there and watch the screen all the time. Just set an alarm for yourself. Hey, I want to take a look at the market at basically 7:30 to 8 o'clock Pacific time. And then my other time is I want to go in for the last 2 hours. Now on the West Coast, that turns out to be at approximately 11 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And what am I looking for? That's an important thing to know, is what am I looking for? I'm looking for one, I'm looking for price action to show me some kind of reversal pattern. And when does this one here happen? Yesterday. That happened right at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so that's something to take a look at. What time did this one happen today? Well, it happened that was at 9 o'clock in the morning here, which corresponds to 12 noon on the West Coast. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for extremes on the TSI. And if I'm also have the market forecast up, which I normally do on my standard charts, I have the market forecast. I'm looking for extremes on the market forecast also. So I think that's a good, the essence of what I'm trying to get across today is if we don't want to over-anticipate the reversal, we have to wait for the momentum shift. How do we know the momentum shift is taking place? Well, you get one price action showing that have a reversal signal, a candlestick signal, followed by a follow-through, and then a TSI cross up to the upside if we're looking for long trades to the upside. And so that's what I've got going there. Last but not least, let's take a real quick look at IWM. Russell really did a nice little move to the downside today. I would look at something similar on this. Look for a pullback back up into where? About the midsection of the big red candle there. So about the 228 level. I can then also take a look at, well, what does that mean for trading TZA? And again, because of the contango and backwardation, it may overshoot or undershoot slightly if you're trading the leverage ETF. But if we were to apply a similar type process with the leverage ETF, it would be a pullback into approximately 31.94 to about 31.75. TSI has started to move up. And if we did take a trade right there off of that middle section there, wrong drawing, hold on. Took a trade off of approximately that middle section and just made the stop loss just slightly below. Okay, you're looking at about a 4, almost 5% stop if it was at the low of today. One of the things we may want to do is take a smaller position, like a half to a quarter position at that level, but put the stop loss down about the 29.47 level. That is also another opportunity there. So that's what I've got with TZA. Good. And so if you do have a stock you want us to take a look at, again, just let me know. Type it in the comment section. I am monitoring through my other Instagram account, so I know what's going on there. So let's go ahead and take a look. I want to take a look at a couple of different entities that are looking, they look interesting from numerous aspects. One is Facebook. Now, I wouldn't call this per se a shooting star. However, it is certainly a bearish harami and kind of a shooting star. And so that I would be looking at what's happening here. As the TSI, and I will just walk you really quickly through this. As the TSI crossed over, no. Do we have a reversal signal? Yes. So we're waiting for the rest of the clues to fall into place. Where would Facebook be of interest to me for a downside trade? Probably retesting back up into today's wick. That's the upper level, or that's the long, skinny part of the candlestick. Go over here and look at the weekly. As you can see, the weekly is turning back up to the upside. That's kind of interesting. So we have mixed messages there. And then what is TSI doing on the intraday chart? Well, it's diving for the deck. So I do not want to buy, I do not want to get into a short trade where it's at right now. I want to look for some kind of a retracement back into trying up here and then with the reversal. But as you can see, that's one of the things I like about if you're wanting to know about how to utilize the 3-chart method, the weekly, the daily, the intraday, I'm going to be doing a presentation for the Delaware Investor Business Daily meetup group next Thursday, and that will be at 6:30 East Coast time. So that'll make it real early in the afternoon for me. So that's what I'm looking at for Facebook. What's the potential here on Facebook? Well, if we I'm going to expand this just a little bit. As you can see, Facebook has been just kind of driving sideways. If it does, in fact, confirm to the downside, I would look at potential taking off some profits when it gets back to the moving averages. But a ultimate downside target is going to be somewhere between 255 all the way down to 245. And that would be about a $33 move on Facebook. That's one of the ones I'm looking at. And of course, our premium members would get a heads up on that with Mike, I saw that Netflix. I will jump on that next. Netflix is also one of those. It's schizophrenic, I think. And I'm not making fun of anybody. Or I don't mean to be, but it is. It's basically, it has just been whipping. But let's put together some clues on Netflix. What's been going? It is basically for those last several months after it fell from the high here. It came up and rally attempt failed, brought back down, didn't take out the swing low here, but then we rallied back up, failed from a lower level. So we have 1, 2 lower lows, lower highs. Now we've set up a lower low. We are rallying back up into where? Back up into the moving averages. That would have, I kicked myself in the butt because I did not get into a trade on it right there to the downside. But now that would be over anticipating, but I had some clues coming together. The other thing that has happened now is we have a TSI crossover. And this is one of the things I encourage you to take a look at when you do your practicing, and hopefully you are practicing your trades, is in the past, what would happen when you would get the crossover? Well, like here, we had a crossover right there the day before, or that crossover wasn't quite there. The crossover would happen this day. What happens next? Well, typical technical response with Netflix is it rallied the next day back up into the middle third of that candlestick right there. And then what did it do? It fell from there. So how does that tell us to trade them going forward? Is when you get a downside break, TSI has crossed over, look for a pullback into the middle third. And on Netflix, it looks like the middle half is about right there. And again, Mike, this is where I would basically draw I would throw in a line across there, about in the middle. And I'm just doing this by eyeball. If I want it to be absolutely perfect, I would take the high, take the low, divide by 2, and that would give me my specific level for putting in the trend line. Go over to the intraday chart. What does that tell you? Yeah, that looks fairly reasonable. And see what it's done before. Again, always be looking to your left. Is there an area of past support / resistance? And since this level of support here, where there were buyers, once we took out the low, that's telling us that our little pocket of buyers right there and right there, it has been basically has been exhausted. And so now we're looking at where would people want to start selling on the way down. And so look for a, again, because the daily is rolled over, what's going on with the, and look at that, the weekly has also rolled over and broken through the zero line. That can be indicative that, hey, stand by. We've got some heavy C's going on in Netflix. So Netflix, and then trade it from there. So does that help, Mike? And so, okay, my friends, basically, I'll hop back on here. All right. So, well, good, Mike. I'm glad that helped you, and I really thank you for some of the kind comments that you've made about what we are doing with active trend trading. It means a lot to me. Oftentimes, when you do this kind of work, it's always nice to have somebody say, "Hey, we really appreciate what you're doing." So I really do appreciate you appreciating us. So without any further ado, I will let you go. This is, we covered a little bit more than I would normally cover, but I think it's important to have, with the markets the way they are, being whippy, it's a good time to, okay, how do you put your strategic plan in place? And part of it means prepping after hours. And so you saw a couple of both the, I would say the IWM, and or the TZA, and or Facebook is looking really good also. You may also want to take a look at, and I'll just throw this up really quick. Another one I'm looking at is MRNA, MRNA, and it's doing a similar type of situations where it rally attempt and then has fallen back below the 820. We'll see if that confirms and slices to the downside, and we'll see if the market for the TSI crosses to the downside, because that would give us more confidence that the move is on its way. So again, until next Tuesday, because we do this on the radar, we do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at approximately 1 o'clock Pacific time, just after the market closes. If you do have a stock you want us to take a look at, drop us a note or send us a DM or send me a text message, whatever you would like to do. So until next week, and remember, join us tomorrow for How to Make Money Trading Stocks. That's our normal Friday YouTube video. And you can join that live at what time? 11 o'clock Pacific. So aloha. God bless everybody.